We need Fetch to operate natively on PulseChain for liquid loans to be successful and to actually have an accurate price feed. But just like we're auditing liquid loans, we also have to go through a similar process with Fetch. You should all be aware that it is under the hood, it's tell-all. So we've been using the tell-all system, which we honestly believe in and really do value the time that the tell-all team and Nick Fett has provided to help us to get through Fetch launched on PulseChain. We actually have Gnosis Safe running on Testnet. We've called it PulseChain Safe. And if you want to actually go and play around with PulseChain Safe, you just need to go to testnet.pulsechainssafe.com. We're really excited to announce that we've chosen the auditor. We're really happy with our progress. Everything's going according to plan. Hey guys, it's CC here. Thank you for joining me. Look, I wanted to give you guys a bit of an update in terms of where things are at from a development point of view. Three topics I wanted to cover quickly. One was predominantly where we're at with the audit for liquid loans. So we're really excited to announce that we've chosen the auditor. The audit team is called Halborn. You may have heard a fair bit about Halborn. They're a fantastic audit team. It was a really close race between them and one other, but we're really happy that Halborn has decided to help us with the audit process. So that has started already. We are expecting that process to take probably 3 to 4 weeks to get through. And if there's any issues that are uncovered as part of the audit, obviously we'll be looking to address those as we go through. But really happy with the way that's all working. Hopefully you guys have had an opportunity of trying things out on Testnet. We're really hopeful that the community is aware of what to do. Obviously, as we get closer to launching on mainnet, we'll probably release a little bit more content around what to do, what to expect. Some of that content already exists on the channel, but we'll probably have some refreshers on that closer to launch date. So not too far away now, but obviously we have to go through the audit process, and that's really important. Not just for us, but for the community that is looking forward to liquid loans. Just another thing, I did want to talk a little bit more about Fetch. So Fetch is effectively the Oracle service that's we're launching natively on PulseChain. That's currently in Testnet, and we've been working through just ironing out a whole bunch of things on Fetch and how we expect it to work. I guess one of the things that I did want to point out is that you should all be aware that it is under the hood, it's tell-all. So we've been using the tell-all system, which we honestly believe in and really do value the time that the tell-all team and Nick Fett has provided to help us to get through Fetch launched on PulseChain. Probably a couple of things that people need to be aware of though, and that is this type of technology is very much for people that need to spin up reporters or are looking to use the system to provide accurate price feeds. It is a command line driven system at the moment. So what do I mean by that? It does require you to understand how to script or how to type in commands at the command line. And so if you're familiar with that, it's not too difficult to use. But if you're unfamiliar, currently there's no sort of front end that makes life a little bit easier. So why am I sort of flagging this? I'm flagging it because we need Fetch to operate natively on PulseChain for liquid loans to be successful and to actually have an accurate price feed. However, we also want to see the community get behind Fetch and actually start providing reports. And although there will be a number in the community that have started to do that already, those people are probably very comfortable and familiar with command line type instructions. Whereas what we're hoping to do is enhance what we've already got, and we'll provide a nice front end to it. So things like, just if you're spinning up a reporter, it'd be nice to know, well, how many tokens am I receiving as part of being part of the reporter network? What does that look like? What does my balance look like? The process of staking tokens to become a reporter. Can I have a nice front end to enable that to make it a bit easier for people to do? So we'll be actually developing some of those things, but they're not crucial for the initial release, right? So expect enhancements to the front end as we go through. But just like we're auditing liquid loans, we also have to go through a similar process with Fetch. And there's a few things that I wouldn't say we're tinkering, but we are making changes to the tokenomics. So there will be some things that we'll make adjustments to. And part of that also includes some of the incentives. And just to be clear, there's 3 types of incentives available to people. And if you're a reporter and you stake a certain amount of fetch token, then you're going to be receiving time-based rewards just by being a reporter. And likewise, if you're a successful reporter, there's something called a tipping mechanism, which basically means if somebody wants a price of a particular token or whatever it is that they're looking for, once they've made that request, whoever provides that information first obtains whatever happens to be in what's called the tipping jar. So that's usually another incentive, and that's why reporters are competing to provide a price feed to whomever may be requesting it. But there is another incentive, and that is it's almost like the staking rewards that we're all familiar with HEX, right? So you lock up your tokens for a period of time, and you'll be in receipt of staking rewards. So at the moment, that's a little bit, again, it's not something that is extended immediately, and you don't necessarily realize this, but it is a mechanism that's available. And we're actually looking at that in some detail to say, okay, how can we incentivize the whole community to actually hold on to the fetch tokens? And so what should the incentive look like for that? So we'll be tinkering with that and making changes that would suit the community best. But obviously there's some things that we'll have to change ahead of the audit. And so the expectation is over the course of the next 2 weeks, we'll have that resolved, and then the audit can commence with fetch. Lastly, I did want to flag, and I think I have mentioned to the community, to you guys before, and that is that we actually have Gnosis Safe running on Testnet, right? So what does that mean? We've called it PulseChain Safe. And if you want to actually go and play around with PulseChain Safe, you just need to go to testnet.pulsechainsafe.com. It is Gnosis Safe, but again, it's running natively on PulseChain. Personally, I love Gnosis Safe. It's a fantastic tool. It's a tool that's available to anyone that wants to use that on PulseChain. So we are going to be launching that very soon on mainnet. The order of deployment for us will always be Gnosis Safe first, because that's the multi-sig that we'll be needing for liquid loans. So that has to be deployed, and we're expecting that, we'll be in a position to deploy that very soon. The next thing that usually follows after that will be fetch, right? So we need to have the Oracle up and running. And so the expectation is that the Oracle will then be launched. And then as soon as the Oracle's launched and we're comfortable that's working correctly, then we'll be launching liquid loans. Again, all of these things, the precursor to all of them is successful audits, making any changes that may be required before we finalize. But we're really happy with our progress. This was intended just to give you guys a bit of a heads up, but please, if you've not tried Gnosis Safe, or if you're unfamiliar with Gnosis Safe, become familiar. It's such a fantastic tool. Would really highly recommend you guys play around with it on Testnet. Again, the links will be in the YouTube description. Have a look, make sure that you're comfortable with how it works. Personally, I love Gnosis Safe. It's a fantastic tool. I'd highly recommend you have a look at it. And again, there's some content out there if you're not familiar with what Gnosis Safe does. Become familiar, because it's a great tool to use. Outside of that, we're really happy with our progress. Everything's going according to plan. So from that point of view, again, please try all of these tools that we're making available. And the success of the audits will determine the timing of when we can release liquid loans. So guys, thanks very much for your attention, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.